Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're talking about this kayak right behind me. It's an Old Town Autopilot 120. I've owned it for 2 years and it's taken some nonstop abuse. So today we're going to talk about the things that I like and I dislike about it. So it's going to be a no holds bar. Let's get started. Before we even get started, full disclosure, I did not purchase this kayak with my own hard-earned cash. It was given to the channel from Old Town, and in return I had to do several videos to give y'all my thoughts and opinions about it, and afterwards, you know, I was free to sell it. But you know, my relationship with the company is one that I think we go back for probably 3, close to 4 years now. They have sponsored the channel with several other kayaks that I have used, and after 3 to about 7 months of use, I've come to the conclusion that they're just not efficient. So I would sell them off and you know, make some money for the work that I did in receiving the kayaks, and until this one came out. I had owned 2 Hobie Outbacks, the newer models, the redesigned hull, and it just could not outperform all the features that came with this kayak. And what this kayak allowed me to do was nothing short of amazing. So the Hobies, they took off. And to give y'all some context, I had fished from Hobie for like 10 years or so, and again, it wasn't until this one came out. So let's talk about some of the things that I like about this kayak. Number one, it's a tank. It is built tough and it is built to last. The plastic that the company uses is very thick, and in comparison to my Hobies, in the summertime in Texas, it gets very hot. When the sun is beaten down on your plastic kayak, it softens up. This guy does not. It is so thick. It stands firm and it does not warp. So that was one of the things that I absolutely enjoyed. The other thing is, through the past 2 years, a lot of y'all have voiced your opinion and said, hey, why do you keep the kayak in its condition? Meaning, look how dirty this thing is. Lots of mud down here. It does not get rinsed. Take a look at the trolling motor. Tons of rust. We've got some surface, or that's not surface, that's actually like kind of pitting corrosion right there on the motor. You can see how it's bubbled up. We have some of the paint coming off right there by the prop, and this thing takes a beating. I don't wash it off after every trip. As I said, I'm a full-time YouTuber. It's how I support my family. It's what gets the bills paid, and I go out there every day, Monday through Friday. So I'm lazy and I don't want to rinse this thing off. I come home tired only to rinse it off and then go back out there and get dirty again in the shallow, muddy marshes on the upper Texas Gulf Coast. So that's the condition that it stays in. But on the flip side, you all, I get to do a public service for y'all and truly let y'all know what these things are capable of handling and withstanding. It went through the elements for 2 years, and the only thing that has happened is I no longer use these quick disconnect plugs because I've had to replace it in the past 3 times. They rust out and it doesn't make a connection to the battery. And what I've decided to do was basically clip the plug right there and wire it to the wiring that used to run down below the kayak itself all the way to the back, and now I have a solid connection from the kayak through the wire all the way back here, and it's watertight. All these videos on how I modified this autopilot are on my channel, and so y'all can kind of look it up to see what it is that I've done. But these things take a beating, and I'm not sugarcoating anything. I'm not being paid to say, hey, this is the best kayak, because it does have its shortcomings, and this is one of them. The wiring, expect that to go bad. Not necessarily in 2 years, because again, I didn't wash mine. I did use dielectric grease, but had I washed it along with the use of the grease, it probably would have lasted a lot longer. I subject this thing to a lot of oyster, and so the prop has been replaced. Before I did that, it looked like a serrated knife, and my speed was very slow. I could not stand it going super slow. It was a bummer, because when it was brand new and the prop had no wear or tear on it, I would get about 4.2 miles an hour full speed, and then that went all the way down to 2.8, 3.1, somewhere around there, and it was a bummer. But when I replaced the prop itself, that's whenever I noticed like the speed increase. So if you buy one of these or you own one and the edge of that prop, the fin, is serrated, you might want to change it so that you can start going fast again. So kind of glad that I did that, and that's one of the things that I learned. It wasn't the motor itself, it was just not slicing through the water. And so I think that's called like cavitation or something like that, the like production of bubbles on that prop, and it just kind of slows you down. The EVA foam down here is barely starting to peel up, and so again, that's just through nonstop abuse. If you take care of yours, you're probably going to get a lot of years of use with it. Let's see, take a look at my notes really fast. This is a true hands-free kayak. Hobie's, the Outback that I owned, had a rudder control over here and a rudder control over there. You could not stand up and fish the way you can with this. So the introduction of the trolling motor basically turns it into a personalized bass boat, or a just, you know, a small skiff, and you can stand up and fish hands-free with just minor movements with your remote down here, left, right. You can anchor. Now, there's just so many features that this boat has that the Hobie didn't have, and that's why I decided to go with this one. You can travel in 6 inches of water because that's all the prop needs clearance for. It's a very small one, and while it's down there, it will allow you to go full speed, whereas my Hobie Outback, you were going slow. Yes, you can still fin or butterfly with your pedal drive, but this, you can just use, you know, all you got to do is clear the prop, 6 inches, and off you go to the races with full speed. And that was another thing. The use of anchoring technology. Lots of people put like anchor trolleys, but that requires you to have one of these, like a stakeout pole, and then you got to drill holes into your kayak. Some kayaks come anchor trolley ready, so you don't got to put holes in it. But this right here uses GPS technology to the trolling motor. You hit an anchor button, and let's just show y'all. Right there, you press that anchor button, and this motor will keep you within a 5-foot radius of when you pressed it until you're ready to go again. You just click it, turn off spot lock, and off you go. Why is that important? Well, for one, you're not going to run into rocks. I can just feel the Minn Kota fighting this fish. The fish is pulling one way, the Minn Kota is going the other, trying to keep us on our spot. You just hit that. The wind is not going to move you, the current isn't going to move you, and it's just worry-free fishing. All you got to do is concentrate on catching that fish and being able to present them your lure and know that you have not moved off of your spot. So that's anchor-free. If a fish decides to go under, the only thing you got to worry about is your line getting caught in the trolling motor, but that rarely ever happens. I'm not saying that it won't, because it has happened to me in the past, but it's just far superior than any other option that's currently out there. So you don't need it. Although you do for shallow water fishing. You have shallow water anchor technology mount right there, and you can use one of these stakeout poles in the rear, but that makes too much noise. I don't think you really need it. The spot lock for the trolling motor itself is superior to everything else that's out there. The next thing that this thing is a beast about is having true hands-free fishing when you sit down, because your hands will never have to touch anything at all. You just set the speed that you want to go. You put that trolling motor in the straight forward position, and now your feet can control the rudder back there. So when you want to turn left or right, you can essentially just use your feet, and your hands stay on your rod and reel the entire time. With a Hobie or any other kayak, you basically have to let go of the handle on your rod and make your rudder adjustment depending on what side it's on, and that can be a nuisance at times. So this one is the epitome of hands-free fishing while you're in the seated position. On any other kayak that does not have a trolling motor and that was not designed around the trolling motor, because you've seen the kind that are out there before where people just go and buy one and they figure some way to Frankenstein mount it. This one was designed specifically with that trolling motor, and that's what makes it a gem to be able to use when you're out there on the water. So it's integrated into the kayak, and everything else is basically, you can't stand up and fish because you got to sit back down, do your pedal drive, and then make your rudder controls. So unless you were anchored, then you can truly stand up and fish. But with this one, you're like on a bass boat. The bass fishermen will know what it is that I'm talking about. Being able to stand up, use your remote, and then just slowly troll and be able to cast. I can do that with this kayak right here versus any other one that I have ever used before. So another amazing feature about it. So after 2 years of use, what do I hate about it? I hate that the wiring went bad. I hate that the plug was the design that it was, because going through 3 of them, it was a nuisance. I hated having to, because that went bad, I had the battery right up here in between my legs until I decided to pull the wiring out and directly connect the motor to the battery. But after I did it, boom, I'm in love again. I got the full use of my deck space. The seat is ultra comfortable. The plastic is super thick. It's like a tank. It's got all the features that you want. You got rails up here to put your fish finder, rod holders. I don't recommend using these for rod holders because they're plastic and they bend, so I don't like that. And in the rear, you got the same thing. But I hate that it's very heavy. Let's see. I hate that it's slow. God forbid a storm pops up and the fastest speed that you're going to get is about 4.1. If you got the current in your favor, like the tidal movement, then you can probably get close to 4.7 as far as your speed goes. And you know, you'll be able to move that fast. Whereas if you had a pedal drive, that thing is going to allow you to move a lot faster than what this one is. But you can only move as fast and far as your health will allow you to. So if you're out of shape, then you can probably only maintain a speed of like 5 miles an hour for probably 5-10 minutes, and then you're out of breath. You got to rest a little bit, and here comes Mr. Slow Autopilot putting along, passing you up because you're going off of battery power. The battery, these kayaks do not come with a battery. So it comes with this right here, the tray to put your battery in. And batteries are very heavy, especially those of you who are familiar with the boat world, those marine grade batteries, the sealed lead acid ones, or actually it's a lead acid because they're not sealed. They are heavy, 50 pounds and onward. That is just too much weight for a kayak that already weighs a ton, and it'll break your back if you don't watch out. So the battery is a downside. It's a con. This battery right here cost me onwards of $1,000. It's 250 amp hours for a grand total of 100. It's plenty of juice for all day use. I've never ran out of battery power while out there fishing, so I don't have to worry about that. But that price tag, it's a hard one to stomach. And had I had to pay for the kayak $4,000 and then pay an additional like $1,100 to $1,200 for the battery, and then you're going to pay another $100 for the paddle because they don't come with a paddle as well. That's a really tough one to stomach. You know, just to go kayak fishing, you're gonna spend close to $5,000, $6,000 after you add your fish finder and everything. There's a lot of y'all out there like, dude, just buy a boat, get a John boat. You can spend less money and outfit a John boat. So yeah, that's one that's hard to stomach. So the battery, that's a tough one, but lithium is the way to go because it's very light, 14 pounds in my battery itself. But that's a con to it. There was another one that I just thought of that is a con. And if I think of it, I'll let y'all know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Is it worth selling your old kayak over? Only you can make that decision. It's definitely worth it. Once you've broke the bank and you get this thing out there, on the water, you'll truly see that yes, it is worth every bit of money that you spent on it, and you truly just get to worry about fishing. The other con that I was thinking about, we've got Texas numbers right there. That means it has to be registered. So depending on your state, anything motorized, like a vessel that's motorized, has to be registered. And you got to pay that every year to re-register. Now for Texans, it's about $28, something like that, for a motorized kayak. So it's not too bad. To first get it registered, I think I spent like $69 or $79, somewhere around there. And then we got our numbers. It lasted for 2 years. And then every year afterwards, it's 28 bucks. So I got to register mine next month, February. But it's truly a spectacular platform. You ain't got to take my word for it. Anybody else that's out there that has one of these kayaks, drop some comments down below. Let people know what you hate about it, what you love about it. Would you do it all over again if you could? Or would you just spend your money? Would you spend your money on something else? But for me, it's easy to say that yes, it's worth it because I didn't have to spend money on it. But you know, it is what it is. It's one of the perks of being a full-time fisherman. Companies want to put products in your hands because they want your audience to be able to see what their products can do. You get to be honest. You're not in anybody's pocket. It wasn't a sponsorship, like a true to form type sponsorship that you're in their pocket. They're going to be paying you on a monthly. So, you know, I get to speak my mind on this. And I do think they got a winner right here. It's a truly spectacular kayak. If you have a chance to operate one of them and fish off of it, I highly recommend you doing it because you're probably going to see what it is that you have been missing. And it truly is like a missing link from the kayak fishing world on over to a fully operational, like motorized outboard trolling motor boat. And yeah, it's just top notch. Okay, that's going to do it. Very long-winded. Thank you for watching. I surely appreciate it. If you found this helpful, don't forget to click that thumbs up button. And if you want to support the content that I create, then think about clicking that subscribe button. Until next time, tight lines, y'all.